So this is a little 5-inch white vanilla cake that I creme coated yesterday, and I've let it chill in the fridge, and now I'm gonna final frost it. And before I start, I just wanna remind everybody that we all have different ways of doing things, and one person's never is another man's always. And so what I'm gonna show you is what works best for me. And I like to start with frosting the top first. That way I know I've got this nice even top. And so I'm using a 1D, which is a large basket weave. I'm just making sure that I have enough all the way up on the top. And so by using this 1D tip, I know that I have at least a 1/4 inch of buttercream on top of this cake. And I'm gonna use my spatula to just go across the top and smooth it down. And I don't need for this top to be exact. I'm just trying to kind of plot out, get it mostly even. I'll take a level to it later, but with my naked eye, right, without the level, I can see where I need a little bit more buttercream just to kind of even it up. There we go. That's a great start. Now I'm going to use that 1D tip. And this is where I really, really like this tip. It's going to show me exactly how much frosting I'm putting on the cake, right? So I know I'm getting a good amount of frosting on the side here. It's not going to be too thin. I'm just going all the way around the cake, coming a little bit off the top. We'll fold that over and level the top when the time comes. And know that sometimes I don't make the perfect stripe, right? And that's gonna be okay. We are gonna add and subtract frosting all over the place, but this gives me a nice guide at least. My mentor once explained to me that frosting a cake is all about adding and removing frosting, and it really is. We're gonna add it in the spots that need it and take it off the spots we don't. All right. So now I'm going to use the spatula. I'm going to push in, making sure that I'm really getting that buttercream on the cake and pushing out any air. I see people sometimes asking about air bubbles. Yes, this is where an air bubble comes from, but it's not the only place that an air bubble comes from. There are lots of culprits of the dreaded air bubble. The key is knowing how to fix them. All right, coming across the top, getting it mostly even. And now I'm gonna start the smoothing. Keep getting these sides really straight. It's making sure that this bottom is really straight and even with your stand turntable, right? And then we're gonna come keeping it as straight with our hand as we can. If you tip in, right, it's not gonna be straight. If you wobble out, it's not gonna be straight. So trying to keep it as straight as we can. As I go around, there will be spots where the buttercream isn't even. And that's okay. It's impossible to use even that tip, right, to get it perfect. we're gonna add some buttercream to those spots. Try not to add too much because then you'll have to correct that too. Right. Come back to that starting spot, and again, really nice and straight on the bottom. Keeping it as level as I can. And letting the bench scraper do most of the work. Where we need it. And I'm going to concentrate on the bottom for now. I'm not going to go any higher than right here yet, and I'm going to show you why when we get there. But for right now, I just want to kind of get this bottom all cleaned up. Holding it as straight as I can. All right, that's looking pretty good. You'll notice that there are some straight marks from where I start and stop, and that's okay. We're gonna make those disappear soon. And the other thing that I wanna show you, I can't tell what you're seeing on the camera, but I can see there are a couple of little lines right here. And so I'm gonna go vertical to fill those lines. There we go, that's better. Just a little bit right here. All right, that is pretty good. Now I'm gonna come up to the top and I'm gonna pull off this extra, pulling it towards me, and then going around. And then before I start filling in, I'm gonna go this way one more time. And you'll see that some of that just got pushed to the top, and when I push it right back down, it fills in this space. There's still some ridging going down here. So I'm just going to, instead of trying to fill the whole thing, I'm just gonna kind of do like this and see if maybe I need to fill that spot in. There we go, it was. All right, sometimes if you get those lines, it's because you're missing a little in a spot. And so just go like that. Even though our cake boards are perfectly round, cakes aren't always. And start working on the upper part of the cake now, adding some on up here. Adding and removing, adding and removing. All right, I want you to see something right here, and that is that as I come this way, if I hold the bench scraper, I can see that there's space starting about here up. So let's just put some on. can see how much we need. Oh, that's way better. All right. I just realized it probably would have been better if I had done this tutorial in a different color. I feel like this would normally not take me so long, and I think I'm probably a little nervous with everyone watching. So there's that. And I think this might be a little low, so I'm just going to hold the bench scraper up, and yep, I can see that there's a little bit of space there. And it's not a lot, so I'm just going to take the smallest bit. That's better. Somewhere we need it. And scraping it off. All right, now we're gonna go across the top, and this time I'm just gonna wet my spatula just a little here. And that's gonna help me smooth down. This water is not hot. I haven't heated anything up. It's just regular, good old-fashioned tap water. But look how smooth that is now. I'm also going to dip the bench scraper and kind of clean it off. And dip it again. And that water's just going to help me smooth that side. like that. And there is a little stubborn piece right here. So I'm just gonna add a little frosting in there, right there. There you go. Put just a little bit more on. Now we're getting smooth. Just a little dollop right in through here that I want to fix. And right there. All right, the final top part of the top here is something that's going to seem really odd. I'm just going to go ahead and preface that, right? I'm going to pull this across like I have every time before, right? And smooth out the top. And then just going to angle my spatula the tiniest bit. Go across the edge like that. And then come back with the bench scraper one last time. That is how I frost cake. There is a little spot, where'd it go? Where you can see that I stopped with the bench scraper. After this chills up a little, I'm gonna wet my spatula and come back in and just kind of fade that out. It's even easier to do when the cake has chilled. Now I've made a little air bubble, look at me playing with it. That's why you wait until the cake is chilled. All right. Way to go, Lainey. All right, let's pop you. Stick a little bit more frosting in there. Can't believe I just did that. There we go. This is why we wait until the cake's chilled. All right, I'm not touching it anymore. My point though is, if there are a couple of imperfections, you can fix those once your cake is chilled. Don't be so worried about it right now. I'm especially not worried about it because this cake gets covered in fondant. All right. Thanks for watching.